Hello from the dung heap, everybody. These are my friends. A lot of them.
Friends.
There he is. Hi, sweetie.
Hello. Good morning, everybody.
And we're live. Hello. SPTV. Hello. Hi, everybody. Good morning. What is it? Thursday. Happy Thursday to everybody. Thank you for being here. And let me know if the sound is okay so far. Unfortunately, I think there may be an issue with software, and I haven't gotten a chance to, fool around with it yet. But I don't think I'll be able to do any screen sharing today because it seems like every time I do screen sharing is when everything goes all wonky. So I don't want to have to shut the stream down again. So let me know periodically if you can hear me okay and if everything's working. So far, so good. Okay. Thank you, Misha. All right. So here we are. I get nervous talking about these types of issues with Mike Rinder, the Aftermath Foundation, Child USA, the protests, literally no one, our friend George Massey. But I think it really bears repeating. And I think that it's something that we need to refresh our memories about every once in a while. And I was trying to understand the whole chronological order of this whole situation and the timeline of it all. So I thought I would share that with you. Unfortunately, I can't do screen sharing, but I did put all the links below in the description, so you all can go through it later on. And I think that those streams and references are really worth revisiting. So this stream is partially in reference to some criticisms that I've seen and heard about me lately, which I don't, I don't consider myself a journalist, but they say in journalism, don't become the story. I do not want to become the story, but because I speak out, I'm one of the many who speak out. I'm one of the many who get criticized. So, one of the things that happened was I was, was being talked about how I was getting back to, exposing cults instead of criticizing and causing damage to the movement of, with Mike Rinder and all that, right? And someone had commented that if I really had a change of heart about all the damage I've done, so Marilyn really had a change of heart about all the damage she's done, she would delete all of her videos about, Aftermath Foundation or Mike Rinder or anybody like that, Stephanie Hutchinson, and would delete all those videos and would not encourage literally no one's channel or would not talk about the protests in November in front of the Child USA Gala event, the biggest fundraising event of the year, and that I wouldn't do that. Well, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen because I don't regret talking about it, because I think it is one piece of fighting Scientology, is to hold people accountable who are potentially responsible for covering up certain crimes and against the children of Scientology. And I'm going to go through some of the more recent events that to me are worth repeating, because you know what happens when you forget history? It repeats itself, right? It repeats itself. So, okay. Again, I really wish I could screen share, but just bear with me. And like I said, I've got the links below. So, the, on November 30th, 2022, unbeknownst to anyone except for the victim, most likely the perpetrator, the person filing the complaint, and the disciplinary board. Okay, November 30th, 2022, a complaint was filed by Neil Glazer, who is an attorney, to the disciplinary board of the Pennsylvania Bar. Now, that is all laid out and read in public by Rabbit of Down the Rabbit Hole News, and I put the link below. And I will get there at some point, where she leaked the document and talked about it, and the ball got rolling from there. But before that happened, after the complaint was filed in 2022, about a year later, in November of 2023, the woman who was talked about in the complaint, that she was the plaintiff in this situation, she had told many people that Brian Kent had exploited her, had violated had many ethical violations, and had basically taken advantage of her sexually, mentally, emotionally, and was basically stringing her along for 2 years while so he was supposed to be representing her. She is a victim. We're calling her Jane Doe. She's not really Jane Doe, but out of respect, we call her Jane Doe. And she was saying that he was basically stringing her along. He had no intention of representing her, and she is not the only victim of his that is a survivor of Scientology. So you can go through the whole thing that Rabbit had read out and had commented on, and that just blew my mind. And I did not speak about it for several months because out of respect for the woman, I don't know, I just felt like I didn't want to cover it, but I'm talking about it because it is a big piece of the puzzle as to why I am advocating for Mike to be removed from the Child USA board, and I'll explain more about that. Okay, so that happened in November 30th, 2022. In November of 2023, this person had gone around and leaked this document to many survivors, at least 20, it's somewhere between 20 and 30 survivors in this community, and many second gens. And they were asked by the victim to not share the information. And they were under no obligation to share the information. But one of her very good friends, actually two of her very good friends, Mike Rinder and Leah Remini, they didn't share it either. Did this person talk to them and tell them about it? Many of the people who the document was leaked to say yes, she did. And she had asked Mike Rinder not to tell the board of Child USA. Now, Brian Kent was on the board of Child USA, and so was Mike Rinder. And Leah Remini is the ambassador to Child USA. So I'm just, sorry, I don't have anyone in StreamYard today, so I'm going to just try to get my comments and questions started as I go along here. All right. So, so this was leaked to much of the community, okay, and nothing was said. Then fast forward a few months, so from November 2023, a lot happened then, didn't it? The Aftermath board kicked off Aaron Smith Levin. The protests started. All kinds of things happened in the turn of this year, right? And among those things, Mirriam Francis stepped forward. She is a child of Scientology. She is a victim of Child SA that was covered up by Scientology. And I won't go through her whole, in fact, I should have put her link. If someone in if one of the mods can please put Miriam's link, it's Against the Dark Arts. If you haven't gone through her videos, I would highly suggest that as well if you want to know more about this. She was terribly, in my opinion, mistreated by Mike Rinder and the board of the Aftermath Foundation. And she went to Down the Rabbit Hole News about the situation and asking, for her to advocate for her, which she did. Rabbit put out, there were, I forgot how many questions, maybe I want to say 16 questions. There were many, many questions that she had for Mike Rinder. So Rabbit sent those, and she got back a letter, not from Mike Rinder, but from the Ford Green, who was representing the Aftermath board, which was barely mentioned in those questions, and calling Rabbit a dog with fleas. So most of us recall that. Oh, thank you, Staceberia. Appreciate that. So in response to that, Miriam started doing videos. She started talking about it and asking questions of Mike Rinder. Mike Rinder did blog posts, and it was just escalating from there. And then fast forward to, I believe it was March 23rd. I don't have the date down, but I do have the link in the description. John Atak, who had newly been voted onto the board of the Aftermath Foundation, he published a video entitled, well, it's in the description, but basically it's entitled Mike Rinder Responds to Mirriam Francis's Questions, or something like that, or allegations. And in that interview, there was a lot, and I don't mean to laugh, but they were giggling through the whole thing. It was a terrible thing to watch and to hear and to see. And if you want just a little overview of it, I would highly suggest going to Literally No One's channel. I got the description, I've got the link to his channel in below, and I would definitely check out those videos. He's got a 2-part series so far called Goodnight John Boy, and it's just, it just makes my skin crawl. So, among other crazy things in that interview, Mike pretty much evoked the name of Child USA and was essentially saying that he couldn't be involved in covering up Child SA because he's on the board of Child USA that basically advocates for children, that fights for the statute of limitations to be lifted, throughout the country, and has been successful in many ways, right? So he brought it up. He brought up Child USA, and that started a whole ball rolling. So after that, it was April 6th, I believe, when Rabbit brought to light that whole Child USA scandal and read out the document about Brian Kent and what he had done. And shortly thereafter, he was removed from the board. And I think they made a statement, but it was very general. There were no apologies. Mike Rinder, who in fact had referred 13 clients to Brian Kent, and those 13 clients were all ex-Scientologists, childhood victims of Scientology. And who was the head of the Office of Special Affairs for 20 plus years that was responsible for destroying people's lives? Mike Rinder. And so maybe in an act of good faith and trying to turn things around, he sent 13 clients to that man. Brian Kent took up representing 7 of those clients and consulted with the other 6. Okay. So keep that in mind. So among the things that Child USA has done, and they've done some great things, is they appealed to California law, lawmakers. I'm not sure what the actual name of it was or the timeline of it all, but there was a look back window in California that was enacted for child SA victims or any SA victims, I believe. They basically temporarily threw out the statute of limitations, and those victims could come forward. Now, how many? There's not just 13 of them, there are dozens, if not hundreds. How many of those victims were able to take advantage of this look back window? I believe there was only one, and she did it on her own, not with any of the people we're talking about. So, of all of these clients, how many were told by Mike Rinder and encouraged them to use it, to take advantage of it? Zero, zero. How many survivors of child SA and survivors of Scientology abuse were able to get justice? Zero, and that includes Miriam. How many of them did Mike Rinder inform of this look back window? Zero. Did he know about it? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And he is quoted as saying, and I'll have to find the source and I will put it in there, basically saying that he was only responsible for the board, for being on the board, one of the many board members that were responsible for getting this look back window enacted, right? And then it was up to the lawyers. Okay, you mean the lawyers that you sent people to? Huh? The lawyers that you referred these victims to? Namely Brian Kent, who was just getting massages and making his clients type things out and ignoring them and not showing up for very important meetings with the Department of Justice. Come on. And it just baffles me. If you watch the video that I linked below on growing up in Scientology, where there were 3 Jane Does that were victims of Danny Masterson, came forward and wrote a statement, released a statement, and they were all also clients of Brian Kent at one time. And there was one woman who was not a survivor of Scientology, but she won some type of award. I believe she was maybe a former fundamental Baptist or something, but she came forward and she apologized on her Twitter account to any and all of the victims that she herself had sent to Brian Kent. She was horrified. And you know what? She had no fiduciary, I can't say the word, responsibility. But you know who did? You know who did? Mike Rinder. And you know what he said? Oh, I didn't know anything about it. Okay, so one of his best friends didn't tell him. Leah didn't know about it. This woman who supposedly, on Leah's Facebook with pictures of her and everything, gallivanting all over, with Claire Headley and everybody else, didn't know. They didn't know. Okay, well, say they didn't. Could he at least have said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry to these victims. Had I known." It was like, well, what about the ones that she did tell? What about all the 20 people? So who he blamed it on? Aaron. Oh, everything's Aaron's fault. Aaron and all the other ones that she confided in. She confided in these people that were fairly peripheral to her, and not one of her good friends, Mike Rinder. Well, you know what? Maybe you could just answer some questions. And that's what George Massey's letter was about to Marcy Hamilton. Can you look into this? Something smells fishy. Yes, he was busy saving his own ass and turning it around. And it's like, listen, I'm not saying he should be in jail. I don't know. But what I am saying is that I smell a rat, and I don't think he should be on a board like Child USA. And he's not even a lawyer. So he's just like a figurehead. And he doesn't need to be there. So he will never, he's just so damn stubborn. I mean, maybe the thing is why is he always somehow peripherally involved. It's like, but he comes out smelling like a rose every time. You know, to Miriam, I didn't know anything about. I just sent your mom to San Francisco or wherever to California to paint a picture. You know, he never knew anything, even though he was integral part of putting these policies in place. And do we know if Matt Pesh signed that check or yeah, to move people around? Even in Miriam's case, where she was moved around and her father was moved around? Do we know? No, we don't, because nobody will answer questions. Okay, sorry guys. I know I've been on a roll, been on a little bit of a rant. I just wanted to get this out, and then I will totally get your yeah, biscuits burning, take that frustration out on the like button. So I wanted to just explain this to you because it's been baffling to me, and I wanted to just understand how this all came about. And I'm describing it to the best of my ability without being able to screen share. But I just want to go back and look and see if I missed anything that I wanted to say. Um, yeah, I feel like Mike Rinder has been hiding in plain sight. And I'm not even touching on the Aftermath Foundation stuff. And I have put, together many streams about that situation and even the email correspondence that I had back and forth with Mike. So I have a little bit of a history in knowing, some of the puzzle pieces and putting them together. And I I think that come November, and George, if you're in the chat, you can let us know the exact date, because unfortunately they took down the Child USA had their events up, and then they made it private, but I think we still have the link to it. But there is a big gala. It's their main fundraiser of the year. It's being held in Philadelphia, and I know many people that are planning on being there if Mike doesn't step down, and maybe even if he does. We don't know. We'll see what happens. But I think it's worth considering going. November 7th. Okay. That's what I thought, but I didn't want to misspeak. So thank you, George. Okay. And as far as I know, it's all systems go right now. So, all right. That only took 23 minutes to get out. So I'll go through some of your questions and comments. All right. Sorry about that. All right, I'm going to go through some greetings too. Hey, Clearwater Chat. Janice Shapiro, thank you so much for becoming a member. I got a new cup. Thank you so much. Mischief Managed, that Kitchen Witch Suzanne. Hi there. Peekaboo. Hey, Pika. Good to see you. We got the Hef. Love you. Is that the Hoff? We got Hef. Hey, sweetie. Stay Speria. Lady Jane out. Hey there. George Massey. Everyone is a VIP at Triple C. That is right. That's right. Stay Speria. Aren't you all VICs? Very important Cubs. That's right. You're all very important. Very, very important. Mischief Managed. I love how she just like screams people's names like, Body! If you don't know the reference, I'd be like, whoa, Body! That's cute. And we got George. And if Barb were here, we'd be yelling, Barb. And Barb is one of my fabulous mods, but it's like crack of dawn there. So, okay. Lady Jane out. Brian Kent is a tool, literally. He did Mike Rinder dirty work. Yeah, Mike Rinder's dirty work and jerked those women around for 2 years. And what about Leah? Grr, Lady Jane's bits are burning. I hear you. I hear you. And sadly, I have to agree. James Steele, Mike Rinder is fishing against the wind if he thinks everyone that critiques his morality is going to stop old fishy pants stinks. Yeah. George Massey, Child USA is a shield for Rinder, his cloak of respectability. Yes, and you all want to know what happened when people started questioning Child USA about Mike Rinder? They were sent to Mike Rinder's blog post about how much Scientology hates Child USA. So, and they were saying, there's your answer. So it's like anyone who's questioning Mike Rinder is Scientology. I mean, I can assure you there ain't no Scientology in the holler here. And all y'all are not Scientology. So it's just, yeah. Why? Why why do they do that? And why do they think they can get away with it? It's just ridiculous. Hey, Constance June, good to see you. Asen. I'm still going through the greetings, but I got sure there's more comments and questions. Suzanne, we are not going to allow this kind of gatekeeping. Stay the course, shut them down. Kids cannot consent. Yes, and thank you for saying that, because it reminds me that Serge said in the comments yesterday in the chat that he reminded us all that Serge and probably Miriam and a lot of the survivors are about to revisit the history of children in the RPF, and those are things that they do not, people like Mike Rinder do not want to be talked about. And for some reason, the PTS Discord is all up in arms, and now they're even casting people out and shoving them under the rug and kind of turning on each other and cannibalizing. Why are they why are their panties in a twist? Why are their panties in a twist so much? I think because their idol, Mike Rinder, because the emperor has no clothes. Max's mom, good for you. That was a ridiculous recommendation you were given. Yeah. And my other recommendation to me was I had 48 hours or 24 hours to issue an apology on my community page and go to YouTube and retract things that I've reported, or only one thing that I've ever reported. Yeah. So no, thank you. Not happening. Nope. No, thanks. Stasia Flonase, every religion has been guilty of trafficking people and covering up abuse. Yep. It's so disgusting. Yep. Most religions I can think of. You're right. And that's why it's so important. And I also put the link to that that petition that was her name, Misty, the woman she's an ex I'm sorry, I can't think today. I'm gonna have some coffee. One second. She was Amish, and she has done several interviews with Shalisa and Sola of Cults of Consciousness, and she has a petition out on change.org, and it has almost 36,000 signatures, and she is appealing to Congress to enact a it's like the Child Protection Act or something like that. It's in the description. But the people that are complaining that I'm doing too many of these spicy streams, well, did they sign that petition? Do they really care about the children? Do they really care about fighting Scientology and other religions that are covering up child SA and child abuse? I doubt it, because the only time they pop their heads is when I'm doing streams like this. So that's all I have to say about that one. Hey, TKK, and living in Thailand and South Africa. Oh, you're in Thailand now? Wow, 9 p.m. on Miss Mama Bear. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. Asen, if you didn't do something wrong, why try to silence people questioning him. Even a few years ago, there were, N-word, in their 90s who were dragged before a court. Yeah, yeah. And I don't know what the difference is, except I think that here we don't have enough of the public outrage yet, to drag these people into court. And the FBI, in my opinion, is still sitting on their hands. So, say Spirit, if Rinder wants us to stop talking about him so much, he needs to step down from Child USA and any other board and actively work, yes, to help victims get justice regardless of consequences to him. Absolutely true. Yeah. Hey, Farrell Cheryl. I feel like this is a roller coaster because, like, you see my chest is red. Well, I've been in the sun a lot, but I'm just like getting heated, like, yeah. And I'm like, hi, Farrell Cheryl. I love you. It cheers me up. You're lurking. Good morning. Good to see you. Thank you, Peekaboo, for the reminder. Streak to the like button. That's right. That's right. I'm way behind. I'm going to try to catch up. TKK, in my opinion, Rinder should start running, hide, never speak, or get the punishment he deserves. I feel that he's controlled opposition. I don't disagree. Everyone's saying hi to Pika. Okay, I'm way behind. You almost just posted it too. That's okay. You can double post. That's great. A-Text video infuriated me. Yeah. Very, condescending, just smug. I just wanted to, don't want to resort to violence, but kind of wanted to wipe that smile off their faces. It's awful. All right, scrolling down. Sorry about that. TKK, just look at Rinder's face during the interview. It took me 3 attempts to watch the whole stream. Fleabag much? Yeah. Oh, we got here. Hey, Corn. Good to see you. Solda. Good to see you. Fluff for Squirrel UK. Hey, sweetie. Glad you're here. We got Kathy Scoggins, Cubtology. Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. Hey, Pinche Becky. Great to see you. Hello. Susan Everett. Hi there. Yeah, if this wasn't important to people, I wouldn't have 150 people watching right now. I try to talk about the things that are important to you all, and justice is important. And the child victims, even if they're adults or not, of Scientology are important to us. So, yeah, I'll put this up again. Busy saving his own ass. I totally agree. So, yeah. Yeah, so I feel like the people that, actually have a conscience, that are watching this, that are constantly saying, oh, shut up about Mike Rinder, oh, you're picking on him, blah, blah, blah. We're not talking about someone's sex life. We're not talking about someone's romantic endeavors. We're not talking about their personal life. We're talking about a man who was the head of the Office of Special Affairs for 20 years, who enacted a lot of policies that hurt people, and just want him to answer some questions. And fast forward to when he was out of Scientology. There have been people that have come forward since this whole people call it like what Doug Scott Kramer called it, the controlled opposition. There was a narrative being fed to everyone, to all of us, that we pretty much had accepted or were expected to accept. And then all of a sudden that went out the window in November, and people started to come forward. Oh no, Nora came forward and told the story of how Mike Rinder treated her during the filming of Leah Remini's Scientology and the Aftermath show. And then there were people like I'm sorry, Serge Delmar and Mirriam Francis and Bianca, who came forward and told stories about what's her name, Debbie Cook, who is not the best thing since sliced bread. She's kind of a bitch, and so is Shelly. Where's Shelly there? We know what Shelly is. Okay, so yeah, so the the jig is up, the gig is up, or whatever they say. Mike Rinder, you're not you're not the Scientology movement sweetheart anymore. You're not the leader anymore. Sorry. You can do some good things still. And you have done some good things, but it doesn't erase the fact that you have not been an advocate for the children of Scientology. And this whole Brian Kent / look back window / cover up and constantly just throwing the blame on others. Let's give up Scientology practices. Okay. Answer some questions or just step down. If you don't want to answer the questions, go away. Go write your blog. That's fine. Go testify in court or whatever. But don't be on the board of Child USA or the Aftermath Foundation that are supposed to be helping these people that you are accusing and being nasty to. And that goes for Leah Remini too, how she's treated the Jane Does. Disgusting. Okay, let me try. Sorry, I'm smiling because I'm so far back in the chat. I'm just going to star a bunch of things. Hey, Pup Groomer 20, good to see you. Christy Never in Newton, hi there. Did I say hi to you yet, Jersey Jan? I hope I did. Cooking with Grandma, hey there. Good to see you, friend. Susan P, hi there. All right, I'm looking for, if you can put question or comment, I'll try to get to as many as I can. Pika says, deflection and projection is what they seem to be proficient at, sadly. Yep, 100% mic drop right there. Absolutely. 48 hours or what? They're going to pout some more. Oh, something about lawyers or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. I like to call that person Rumpelstiltskin because you remember the story of Rumpelstiltskin? At the end, the princess, like it's something about spinning thread into gold or something. And at the end of the story, she sneaks up on him because she has to find out his name, right? Or else she has to give her firstborn. And she goes and sneaks in the woods under the cloak of night, and he's dancing around a fire, and he's like basically pre-celebrating that he's going to get the firstborn. And he's like, ha ha, my name is Rumpelstiltskin and she'll never know, blah, blah, blah. So then when she did it, he literally, when he found out that she knew his name, he like had such a temper tantrum that he just tore himself into bits and then threw himself in the abyss or something like that. So I just picture these trolls when they don't get their way, they're just like, and they just literally like implode or explode. So yeah, I don't know. That was a little rabbit hole I went down, but I just thought it was funny. See how I entertain myself out loud. Oh God. Yeah. Georgie, are you Yosa? Like, yeah. Wouldn't you like to be Yosa too? Yeah. All right. Got some start. Just trying to get. Oh, hey, Miriam. Hey, sweetheart. Good to see you here. Miriam says, Mike Rinder wants everyone to believe that David Miscavige knows everything and Mike knew nothing. But who created the daily report to David Miscavige? Mike Rinder. It was his job to know. Yeah. Yeah. I believe that 100%. And these OSA files, there actually is at least one PDF file that was mentioned in those files that were basically their crimes were covered up. And so if there's one, there's many more. There's many more. And And Miriam, you have in your videos basically recordings and video of Matt Pesh admitting to writing the checks to traffic SA victims and their perpetrators, to get them away from each other. And that's it just makes me sick and so upset. So upset. Hey, Fat Grammy, good to see you. And you're another just warrior. Thank you so much for everything you do, Mona. And this whole thing with the FBI. I mean, I feel like it's just all these pieces coming together. And I'm just waiting for the day that something will happen big. But I think there's a lot of little victories. And I'm not gonna back down. I'm not gonna stop. And the fact that we are getting so much opposition, I think that it just shows that we're onto something. And I'm all about advocating for the victims and the survivors. That is, I feel like that to me is one of my big passions. Yes, I do work to expose cult abuse. I do want to get out there and protest Scientology. I do support many channels. I'm a member of many channels that report on Scientology, and I will interview anyone that wants to talk about cults. But to me, where my heart of hearts is with the survivors, to show them support, because I I used to feel very alone, and I don't want anyone to ever suffer alone, ever. And that's why Mama's life justice is extremely important. Absolutely. George, your series has been amazing. Yes, I love how it's, 10 or so minutes of, bite-sized pieces, and he lays it out, and the voice that he uses, I'm getting used to it. It's not his voice. It's an AI voice, but it's not bad for an AI voice. And I'm a sucker for a British accent, so yeah. Asen says to Miriam, too bad he can't control the narrative anymore. The stupidest thing he did was throwing Aaron out. He was his shield and he didn't realize it. Yeah, and he made a big mistake on that many big mistakes on the interview with John Atack, but one of them was basically using Child USA being on the board as a shield. Like, oh, I wouldn't if I was covering things up, I wouldn't be on that board. Well, you know what? It's called safe pointing. And if you watch that video with on literally no one's channel, on George's channel, of Apostate Alex, Leah Remini, and Mike Rinder glad handing and talking about Scientology and how they safe point. And they were describing exactly what Mike is doing now, present time, exactly what he's doing. And they just think it's ever so funny. It's just disgusting. Fluffer Squirrel UK. Hi, sweetie. Debbie Cook is on my bad side, and I don't even know what she did in detail. Just seeing the face of victims, remembering what she did, boils my blues. Yeah. One thing you can watch to get a picture of some of it is there was on Kelly Copter's channel. She did an interview with Bianca. Bianca has an amazing channel. I think trying to think of the name of it. It is Stockholm Syndrome, something like that. But Scientology, yeah, it's got Scientology in it. But anyways, Kelly did a video with her of her story, and I cried for days. I mean, it was so heart-wrenching what she went through. And she was actually one of Debbie Cook's assistants. And she said that that woman gave her nightmares for the longest time, you know, and she is not the big hero that the Aftermath show painted her to be. Mama's life. No one can say it like Mama. Mike Rinder wanted to be the face of anti-Scientology, but he dug his own grave. As time goes on, we find out just who Mike Rinder and others within the fold of the Aftermath Foundation are. Yeah, it's really sad. And you hear all these things about like, oh, well, that was a long time ago, or why, like, why are people saying this now? Why not now? Why not? Is there for someone who's saying there should be no statute of limitations on getting justice for abuse? Why not now? Just answer some questions, Mike. And if you don't want to answer the questions, step down from the boards because it looks bad. You're making them look bad. And we're not going to shut up about it until something's done. Straw into gold. Okay, thank you. Rumpelstiltskin. You guys are my brains. I guess I probably should have eaten something, but I was just like, I'm just hopping on. My brain's a little bit foggy still. Yeah, Jersey Jan. When I heard what really happened behind the scenes of the Aftermath show, it made me furious. Yeah. Yes, we have Miriam's back. Absolutely. Dina, I'll never forget Doug explaining how there were exes who gatekept for the indie movement as well as people like Mike. Yeah. Doug, he was before his time in calling all this out because he knew. He knew. And we used to have, I won't call it arguments, but he used to say, like, Mike Rinder's a criminal, And I'm just like, oh, my pearls, like, Mike Rinder. Because I really looked up to him. He was one of my heroes. And I still feel bad, but I shouldn't because he's not a very nice person. Dina, there was no reason for Rinder and Remini to be involved in the police interviews of Miriam. I contend that they wanted to know what they had to clean up and influence. Yeah, that's a thought. Yeah. James Steele, I hope Jenna Miscavige writes a No Holds Barred book too. Yeah. That sounds good to me. Definitely. We've got Itchy Thetans. I love that. I recall Leah calling Mike out to own things he did to others during the Aftermath show. He always got quiet when she'd say or mention therapy. Yeah. Yeah, he never went through therapy as far as I know. Dina, I think they use the show to control and clean up in a multitude of ways. The more I look into it, the uglier it gets. Yeah. Lady Jane out. Shame on Leah Remini for promoting haters of SPTV SP behind the scenes instead of putting an end to it. We all know if Leah said so, all the hate comping from the other after would stop. Okay, all the hate coming from the other side. Yeah. Yeah, the aftermath would stop. I think you're right. She does have a lot of influence. Absolutely. Hey, Chris, good to see you. Poor Serge Obolinski, exploited as a child and again as an adult. Did he need help? Yes. Did the Aftermath Foundation help him? Yes. Did they exploit and hurt him? Yes. He is fearful today. Yeah. Yeah, it's another sad situation. Oh, bless him. Mason smirking. Yeah, you must be talking about John Atack and Mike Rinder in that video. Yeah, Mike Rinder and his network of PDF file hiders. Haters. Yep. Hi, sweetheart. Good to see you, E. I haven't seen you in a while, honey. I love it when the second gens visit. We got checking in. Love ya. We got E and Miriam. That kitchen witch Suzanne. In the end, it was best for Aaron. Now there's a new foundation that does not have a billion-year contract. Right. Exactly. Hey, Eric Rader. Great to see you, friend. Oh, I want to say thank you so much for the gifted memberships yesterday. And unfortunately, I had to shut that stream down because it was doing this wonky thing. I'm not able to, I don't know why, but I'm not able to screen share right now. And I did that for the second time yesterday and everything went haywire. So I noticed it afterwards. So thank you so much, Eric Rader. And if anyone has not subscribed to his channel, head over. Is it at, I'm not sure. I forgot the name of the handle, but one of the mods can put that in the chat. Definitely check out Eric Rader's channel. And while we're at it, we got Degraded Daughters and Miriam's channel, like I mentioned earlier. Against the Dark Arts. Hey, Cinderella, good to see you in here. Yep. When is there a good time? Now, because there are still kids in Scientology. Absolutely are. Yep. Hey, Lottie's Lore, gonna catch the replay. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, if you're watching on the replay, put a comment. I always read all the comments. I love to read your comments. So. Max's mom, hi there. The king of keyboard warriors needs to walk into the darkness and let the younger generations take over the fight. Yeah, I agree with Liz Gale. She's like, hey, if you're not going to help, back off. Back TF off. Dina, Mike has made sure to be involved with everything well before the Aftermath show. That is very curious. Good point. Susan P., you know Mike Rinder knew everything that was going on in OSA as the head of it. He would want to cover up his own butt. Agreed there. Chrissy Never Newton, rewatching his face on the Aftermath, he completely wanted to look like a king with no emotion. Yeah, that's something that I have seen a theme throughout this past year with Mike. It's just this lack of compassion, lack of understanding, and this contempt for anyone who would dare ask him a question, and this it is like that whole always attack, never defend thing. He just attacks and deflects, like Pika said. Project and deflect. Mama, do you think Leah is standing up for Mike because she needs him as a witness in her court case? That could be part of it, but I think that she's just decided that's who she's going to throw her lot in with. They've been friends for a long time. And yeah. Dina, I think Doug is loving it all. It's broken wide open, and so many are picking up the mantle he carried alone for so long. Yeah, I agree with that. Do you know if he still gets auditing? You're talking about Mike Rinder? I don't know. DS Kitty, hi there. Mike Rinder is guilty as hell. It's so obvious what he's done or not done. He's not the greatest thing since sliced bread in the fight for justice for child SA survivors. Yeah, I agree. Chris 10M, Eric Rader, you are one of the great ones. There you go. Eric Rader. That's right. Another great one. And we got E, your created daughter, Alicia. Love her. Linda Scott, Mike could be such an asset to getting the tax exemption lifted. If he testified to everything he knows, honestly, he could be such a great help in showing that Scientology is not a religion. Yeah, I hear you. I think there are things that are being covered up, not disclosed. Kim Roy, hi there. Don't think I've seen you before. I didn't like Rinder. He creeped me out during the aftermath. Is it just me? But every time he said Lily, I cringe. Yeah. I think that I don't know if did he say that in the show? I remember he said it in the podcast all the time. But maybe he did in the show too. But yeah, the podcast, it was over the top. Yes, Eric Rader's in the chat. That's right. Awesome. And he's in the chat too. And so is Miriam. Amazing. Paralyzed to paralyze. I predict Leah's court case to fall apart by design. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder about that too. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go back to a couple of things that I started here. Asen comment. I will say this again and again. In a world full of Rinders, be a Brown taking like Mike Brown. Yeah. Taking accountability is half the work. He wouldn't get half the backlash if he would take accountability. Yeah. And Aaron has said that over and over, that if he just came out and was just a little bit humble and said, listen, no holds barred, I'll answer your questions, and actually felt some humanity and some remorse, even if he didn't know anything, just to answer some questions sincerely, and maybe have a little bit of empathy for the victims, you know? He is using that board as a mask to hide behind an attempt to wash away his horrific actions and non-actions in so many abuses. Yeah. Pika for president. she just lays it right out there. I love it. I love it. Joel, hey Joel, good to see you, friend. You can't hide from your past, good and bad. It's yours to own. You can't scrub the bad. It's baked into your story. Good or bad, you must own it. Yeah, I agree with that. And it's funny that that person, that whatever troll that is threatening me, um has written in some comments that I am an abuser, that I admitted that I abused my children by being in a call and by following some of what's in this book. Yes, I did. And I mean, legally, unfortunately, it's not considered abuse. If it was illegal and I had to serve jail time, I would do it for my kids. I would do it for my kids, you know? So it's funny that someone that is such a Aftermath Foundation fan, that they have it on their dinky little channel, their freaking their Aftermath Foundation website link, right? And they pretend to be the SBTV Foundation, which is disgusting, masquerading as a charity name, right? And they're accusing me of abuse when they're a stand for Mike Rinder, you know? I don't know, man. I can't make this stuff up. I can't make this stuff up. I wish I could put emojis up because I think I have a pot and a kettle in the emojis. It's just unbelievable. Cooking with the grandma. I love this handle. Careful, Mike Rinder. Child USA isn't the cult of Scientology. Just saying, you can lipstick a pig and it's still a pig. Yeah. Yeah. What do you all think of, the protest in November? You want to try to make it to Philly? And if you can't, maybe we could do a petition, you know? Why not? Somebody wants to start a petition, I'll sign it. Hey, Sassy Savage, great to see you. Late, but so happy to catch you live. Love you, Marilyn. Always stay strong. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Your kids wouldn't want that, Marilyn. Yeah, they have forgiven me. Hey, Marilyn, thank you for your stream yesterday. I was watching it this morning until this one started, so I'll have to finish later. Appreciate you for calling out the ugliness that's been happening to, yeah, LV. And I know that you, I'm getting emotional. You are a very compassionate person, and you feel people's pain no matter what they've done. And you've been an amazing example of that, E. And I thank you for being you. Thank you for being you. Oh, pots and kettles. Yeah. Tina, Marilyn, I've said it before. I'll say it again. You've come a long way, baby. Doug would be so proud to see you rise your full potential. Thank you so much. Thank you. And just for old time's sake, why don't we do a Xenu Marlene? And whatever, you've got your morning donut, afternoon scone. I've got coffee today in my Mama Bear mug. Cheers. Xenu Marlene, everybody. Itchy Thetans. That makes me think of like body, like, I don't know, like what are the body lice or whatever? I forget what those are called. But itchy Thetans, yeah. I completely agree with Asen. Mike Brown had humility in class when facing what Laura FM had to talk about. An action like that would go very far for Mike Rinder. I don't think he'd do it though. No, I think he's just too stubborn and prideful. You know, humility and Mike Rinder do not get along. That's for sure. Stasia, Marilyn, you didn't knowingly abuse your children when you were part of that cult. Remember that and give yourself some kindness. Thank you. Appreciate that. Hey, Maya. Good to see you here. Even if Mike Rinder didn't know anything, he still wrote policies that hurt a lot of people. At least say sorry for all the pain I've caused through the policies I made. Yeah, never heard that. It was always through the Office of Special Affairs. And even Leah would like kind of smack him and be like, "You mean you, Mike? You mean you?" And he'd get very quiet. Or he'd kind of like nervously chuckle, which was really messed up. That Kitchen Witch Suzanne. I have had some long, hard conversations with my kids about not walking away from the Catholic Church sooner, protecting them sooner. It's all about owning our mistakes. Yeah. And I think an apology can go a long way. Absolutely. We got the Xenu Marlene's going. I love it. That's awesome. Max's mom, I think it's too late for Rinder to pull a Brown. It may be. I like to think it's never too late, but it may be. Joel McCoy, there is no one over the age of 10 that has not done things that they are not proud of. The thing is, if you own up to it, first you must admit it to yourself. The truth will really set you free. Yes, I agree with that completely. Absolutely. So if anyone has any questions or comments, you can definitely leave them right in the description below, and I'll try to get to them. You can also email me at coffeecultsandcrafts@gmail.com. And yeah, so I wanted to just try to present this in as much of a cohesive manner that I could without being able to screen share. But this was the kind of the rabbit hole that I went down, and no pun intended to rabbit, but and to try to make sense of it all and put it into one stream. So I hope that clears up some things. I hope it explains why I feel this is very important to talk about. I feel it's very important to many of the, oh, Kelly, hi, sweetie. I haven't talked to you in a day or two. Oh my God, I'm going to die. Good to see you. I'm glad you're in here. I love it when the second gens come in, especially Kelly. Yeah. So I hope that it, shed some light on the situation. And again, if you have any questions or comments, let me know. And yeah, until next time, I will see you all later. Have a great day and stay away from cults. Bye. Xenu, Marlene, everybody partake. Cheers. This is good coffee. This is why, my hubby makes the coffee.